Alexander. Good morning, everybody. So welcome at this webinar entitled Interesting and Innovative Approaches for Improved Building Envelope Performance. I will first give you a quick overview of the context of QUALICHECK, and some of you might have heard it before, but I hope for the others it is useful, and then very briefly introduce this webinar in specific. So the objectives of QUALICHECK are essentially doubled, so we are now at the end of the 3 years research phase. It's first of all to set up a series of actions which should result in more attention and practical initiatives for actual compliance with the Energy Performance Certificate for new and renovated buildings, or said in simple words, create boundary conditions which force people to do what they declare. And then the second objective is quite similar, but then focusing on better quality of the work. So again, a series of actions which should result in better quality of the works, or create boundary conditions which stimulate and allow the building sector to deliver good quality of the works. QUALICHECK is focusing basically on the whole building process, but we have on purpose identified 4 areas where we specifically work on. You see them here, so transmission characteristics, which clearly is linked to this webinar, ventilation and air tightness, sustainable summer comfort techniques, and then renewables in multi-energy systems. Also, the project is valid for, let's say, the whole of Europe, or the whole of the European Union, which is, let's say, dealing with this Energy Performance and Buildings Directive. But also there, in order to have sufficient focus, we identified 9 countries where we have teams involved in the project. You see them here marked with the green circle. And so you see it's from very cold climates to very warm. Big countries like Spain and France to very small countries like Cyprus. Countries who have, I would say, already a good track record with respect to EPC compliance. Others who have a good track record with quality of the work. So we have really tried to have a cocktail of different starting conditions, and hopefully this will also result, let's say, in more interesting outcomes. In terms of outcomes, basically they are, let's say, at 3 kinds of activities. So we have a lot of outcomes about the status on the ground, and what do we find today, for example, in France with respect to EPC compliance or quality of the works. Sometimes we find, let's say, problematic situations. Sometimes we have found very, I would say, positive developments. Secondly, we focus on interesting approaches. So where, for example, do we have found an interesting approach? We try to document it in a fact sheet and so on, so that people can learn from it. And then thirdly, we also have a number of deliverables which aim to give guidance for improvement. So if people or let's say administrations or organizations want to go further with respect to these activities, we are developing guidance documents to come to improvements. In terms of deliverables, you see here a brief overview. So quite a lot of reports, country reports, more than 50 fact sheets, newsletters. Also 16 webinars, of which this one is one of these 16. We had already 3 conferences, and the next conference is next month in Brussels. You see workshops, national roadshows, and so on. All the information you find on the QUALICHECK website, of which you see here, let's say, the home page, and at the bottom you find the address. What I think also useful to mention is that although QUALICHECK as project is ending the end of February, so in 1.5 months from now, the activities itself are not ending, because the QUALICHECK as a platform will continue. We have already a number of stakeholders, organizations who support this platform, and so the idea is to go on beyond the end of the contract. And those who are interested, we have on the February 22nd in Brussels in the morning meeting of this QUALICHECK platform. We have that same week, the day before, on February 21st in Brussels, the 4th QUALICHECK conference. You see entitled EBB Perspectives for Compliant and Smart Buildings. And clearly, let's say, the whole new approach as proposed by the Commission for revision of the directive will be one of the key aspects at this 4th conference. Coming back to this webinar, so as I said, and I think it's clear from the invitation, this webinar is focusing on transmission characteristics. We have a lot of activities dealing with it, like fact sheets and so on, but also we had one specific workshop last month on the topic of transmission. You see here the announcement, so it was about performance of thermal insulation in low energy buildings and advanced building renovation projects, with a subtitle, securing the compliance of product data and the quality of installed systems to reach high levels of energy performance. So that workshop was on December 15, and if you're interested to know more about it, on the website, and you find at the bottom here the hyperlink, so you can find all the presentations which were presented at this workshop. You see, after introduction, there was a number of presentations about building junctions and databases. In the afternoon, a specific session on super insulating materials, and then the last session was about quality of the works aspects, including a panel discussion with a number of key people at European level in this area. To conclude, we come then to the program of this webinar. You have seen it in the invitation, so we will have 3 presentations. The first one, the voluntary approach, let's say, from Eurima. Secondly, a presentation of retrofitted listed buildings using vacuum insulation panels. And then thirdly, a presentation more from, let's say, another area, because the origin there is acoustics. It's development and performance monitoring of sound insulation using robust details approach, of which we think that some of the elements used in that approach can also be very relevant when applied to thermal insulation. So I hope that you will really enjoy the webinar. Just to remind you, so you see here, so on the home page, we have a YouTube channel. So all the presentations of all the webinars are available as a YouTube video. So also the ones of today, but all the previous ones you can find on this YouTube channel. So this, I think, is sufficient as introduction. I give now the floor to Jelle Langmans and Ross Holleron for the first presentation. Thank you for your attention.